So we're in beautiful San Diego. What does the anchorman say?
They named it San Diego, which of course in German means a whale's vagina.
So I'm actually speaking at the Sports and Active Nutrition Conference for Nutraingredients-USA. This is, I think, a couple years I've been doing this. It's also one of my favorite shows just because I think they have a really good mix of like the business side, the kind of the data or like the trend side, but also like the science side. So when you get all of these like really great professionals in a room at once, you tend to get like this idea of like creative combustion together. Like a lot of like really good ideas come out of this show. So that's why I always really enjoy this show. But I'm going to be speaking, I think, in about an hour or so. So Grant and I got off the plane and I said I need to get some energy. So I grabbed myself one of these C4 Smart Energies, which I know I'm not supposed to play favoritism, but it is one of my favorite energy drinks for a multitude of reasons. One, it just tastes really great. Secondly, and you guys are gonna love that sound if you are into the ASMR. Also love the focus ingredients in here. I'm a busy professional sitting in my office. Sometimes like you have these like more ergogenic type ingredients in a product that you don't necessarily need because you're not going to work out. I love like the focus aids, focus type thing, brain health, brain functionality. This has Combustion in it. I know like if you guys follow me on social media and all that kind of stuff, you've seen me talk about Combustion a ton. That's why I'm super pumped to bring my speaking engagement from about a 5 to about an 8. I don't want to give myself too much credit. It's definitely not going to be a 10, but we're gonna bring you along. This is gonna be fun.
So welcome everybody. I'm just gonna go ahead and have everybody kind of go down the line and introduce themselves.
Joshua Schall, industry strategist working across categories like food, beverage, and supplements.
Social media influencers. You're kind of one yourself.
Total opposite of that.
Talk to me about some of the influencers that you're seeing. Are you seeing a rise in females focused more on sports and active nutrition?
Yeah, I mean, I think social media influencers, and Scott kind of mentioned the idea that there's a bad connotation to them. In this space and just kind of in general, maybe people are getting sick of them or whatever that is. But I think there's something that people need to be really paying attention to in the idea of I guess there's celebrities, but then there's creators. Like creators to me are probably the more powerful arm of these influencers because they are actually the ones that are, I want to call it manipulating the algorithm, but they are actually the ones getting kind of crowned the king or the queen by these digital platform algorithms. They know how to manipulate them, they know how to work them well. So they're able to drive massive amounts of awareness and kind of pull forward that to levels that would cost normal brands millions of dollars or multiple years. So this, I think, regardless if people are maybe saying, hey, I'm sick of this or not, I think you're gonna see, I don't want to call it the floodgates open, but I think we're still early innings in the sense of like influencer-led brands or any of these creator-led brands because it does give you a unique differentiation over anybody else because usually built off of somebody's personality, and if they are true and authentic to themselves, it's hard then for another brand to come in and copy them. There is something from a gender perspective that I think women are definitely more conscious of some of those things than I think men for whatever reason. But I think even kind of broader than that, when we're looking at even like the value or the importance of clean label, I think it's in brands or even retailers or whatever, they have to give a reason for the consumers to actually care about these things. I think that these are not nonprofits, these are not people that are trying to ultimately just share these altruistic types of things where we should be eating the most cleanest things. So it comes down to, is a brand telling you why it's important to them? Why are they embracing these things? Is there things that go along with maybe sourcing or sustainability? Is there like are there broader things that actually matter to them, and then they're actually kind of projecting that out to the consumer? Then the consumer is going to care because they care about the brand, they care about wanting to have some emotional connection to it. But it's always important, I think, with any of these kind of attributes to make sure that consumers, and you're focusing on why should they care, because they're hearing so many messages about all kinds of different things. You got to have, I guess, some stark marketing to them that actually makes them kind of sit up in their chair and go, okay, this is important, I need to research it more, I need to figure out why this is important, why is this brand or individual influencer or whatever is actually talking about this to the level that they are.
Seeing some of these protein products in like the dollar store, right? Do you have any insight into if there are any like really good brands that are being put on the shelves of Dollar General, places like that, and if they're clean?
they tend not to be clean, and that's mostly because these are by the biggest brands in the industry, usually looking at it as the least common denominator type products that they can fit within the margin restrictions and kind of needs in terms of those products. Because though dollar stores aren't always, at this point, even with inflation, they're not just always just a dollar. You still have a customer that has an expectation when they go in there. So if it's something where they're looking at, it's price pack architecture, whether they're shrinking a product or sometimes they are looking at switching out some of the ingredients or whatever, they're really just trying to have something that can serve those consumers at some level. It's not going to be the, what's at GNC or even at, something like a Kroger or a Costco, but for those consumers, and then sometimes if it's a Dollar General, maybe in a food desert or something like that, maybe that's their only option that they're going to get something. So it is better than what they could arguably get if they're, eating a Ho-Ho or a Twinkie, but it's not going to be as good as what the rest of the market is going to provide them. We talk about flavor, but also availability, where is that at, and then so distribution and then price points, usually the three that tend to be there. I know we're talking functional CPG, there's also those types of elements in there, but I mean, if the consumer can't find it and can't find it for the price they want, and it doesn't taste good, arguably it's not going to be very good for them.
What is the opportunity for inviting more people of color and gender non-conforming people into the market? Are there more studies? Do we need more inclusive marketing? What do we think?
I think, and there's a point there in terms of if it's marketing or advertising that I think is important, where I think there was always a focus on the demographics where we get into those things, but now we're more focused on psychographics and just the ability to market towards, if it's personalities or lifestyle. So then that crosses genders, that crosses a lot of these things where there's always limitations, where now you're looking at things deeper than just maybe how somebody looks or if they're female, male, or whatever they're orientated. Those types of things are a tool that I think is really broadening across that. And then just social media as a whole. I mean, there used to be gatekeepers that told us what perfection looked like or what was the aspirational look, where now you have the ability to kind of put whatever image out there that you think is representative of your brand, and then that just gives people something that they can look to and say, okay, this looks like me, that they speak like me, I'm more interested in this because of that. And I think it's just a kind of a virtuous cycle that gets created there. What is that effect in terms of the price to the volume? And I think price has got to a point where then that's covering up and getting growth. But if we look at, I think a lot of brands probably going through the price elasticity of demand kind of, and looking at that. Whatever you were looking at last year might change this year based on what the economy is doing. Like if there's large job loss or something that could happen with that, anything that looked good from like your price elasticity of demand were actually like below what you expected. Even if you kept the same price point with some of the maybe the prices from the inputs were going down, like that completely changes based on some of the things that could be happening from a macro economy. So there's a lot of things that people need to be paying attention to, and you need to be looking at, are you getting cost savings? Do you play that with promotions? You play with a lot of things. So I think this is definitely not like smooth sailing if anybody's trying to figure out, like, we just came out of this big inflation period, what are we going to look at for the next year? I think there's a lot of tinkering and kind of adjusting that are going to need to be done throughout the year.
And I believe that's all the time that we have. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you taking on the
Yeah, good fun. You as well.
How was it?
It was a good time. It was a good time. I mean, I think that the last time you guys saw me on stage, I was the moderator slash like contributor to the conversation, where this is more of that panel, and you try to like balance, like, is it your turn to speak? Like you kind of want to make sure that you're adding value to the conversation, not necessarily always just trying to like have your time to shine or whatever. So I thought the panelists did a great job at explaining definitely the changes in the landscape, the modern, sports nutrition customer moving into active nutrition. So overall it was great. I'm always exhausted when I get done with these types of things, because it's like, as an introverted person that spends a lot of time in their home office thinking by themselves, having a room of 200 or so people can be a little bit exhausting, but it was good. It's good.
Day 2, guys. Good rest last night. Had a great first day at the Sports and Active Nutrition Summit. Today's just a bunch more like panels and other thought leaders speaking about a ton of different things like science-oriented, business-oriented type stuff, compliance, tons of different kind of news that are going on within the kind of functional food, functional beverage and supplement industry. I'm actually going to be having to head out a little bit earlier today because I got a big deadline tomorrow, so I'm not going to be able to stick around for the entire kind of sessions, which is a little bit sad because a lot of my friends are speaking later today and tomorrow, but I'm sure they'll catch me up on what they talked about and everything. But overall, it's been a great experience. So that was a wrap. Hope you guys enjoyed coming along with me to speak at the Sports and Active Nutrition Summit put on by Nutraingredients-USA. I want to just thank them as a whole and anybody that was involved from their team that kind of put this all together. It's always a really great event and just really enjoyed everything. Me and Big Fern are actually going to go back to our home state of Ohio, take you guys along. I think that might be the first time I've had somebody follow me along or even do any kind of content maybe at the Arnold Classic, so it'll be a new experience even though I've been there for 10 times or so. But as always, guys, you gotta smash that thumbs up and subscribe because I just hit 2,000 subscribers. That's kind of cool. I know that's pretty small for some, but not for me, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'd love to have more of you guys along for the journey so you guys could watch more of this content that we're gonna be producing soon.